We are now in week 14 of the BTFL Season 2. The Portland Snowhawks, who are second place in the division, travel to Atlanta to face the Fire. In the beginning of this game would start out quite tough for the Snowhawks. It's looking like a trap game as Vance Pants Johnson gets the ball over the middle and Steve Broussard bums it in for the touchdown. Aikman's turn for the Snowhawks. Down the right side to Alvin Harper, his former teammate with the Dallas Cowboys. And can they get points here? It's a field goal made by Eddie Murray. It's a 4-point game for the Fire. Snowhawks get the ball back, and Aikman trying to get points on the board. He's got his favorite receiver, Ernest Givens, all the Givens he could get, and then Eric Pegram up the middle. He dodges defenders, bobs and weaves, gets the touchdown, and it's looking like it might not be a trap game after all. Snowhawks with the ball back, Ernest Givens, Troy Aikman's favorite receiver. That slant over the middle, or maybe it's a post. It's a deadly play as Troy Aikman baits the defense on that play action fake, and Givens gets the touchdown, all the Givens he could get. Boomer Esiason with the Fire. He finds his receiver wide open. It's Stephone Page. He's open like a book, turning that page to the 30-yard line, and this would lead to a Matt Baer made field goal. 17-10, he scrapes the goalpost. Ernest Givens would catch the ball over the middle from Troy Aikman, his favorite receiver, favorite quarterback, and after the drive stalls, Eddie Murray matches Baer with the field goal. James Brooks would get a handoff down the right side, but he would get injured. He would be replaced by Keith Woodside again, so it's Woodside and Broussard, and the drive would stall out. They'd punt. Troy Aikman would play action roll out. Portland gets the ball back, and Ernest Givens gets the ball back. He's got all the Givens he could get. He stopped at the 1, and Pegram gets the touchdown. They missed the extra point, I believe, and the Fire get the ball back. Clarence K is open down the middle for Boomer Esiason, and then Woodside would get the handoff. Fake sweep down the left side, dodging defenders. He's got the touchdown. It is a 9-point ball game, and the Fire have the ball back. And Stephone Page, he's open like a book yet again in the end zone for the touchdown. 2-point game. So it might be a trap after all, but Troy Aikman would find his favorite receiver, Ernest Givens, into the red zone. And Troy Aikman, no pressure in his face. Alvin Harper has to fight the corner for the ball. It is 33-24. I believe it's again a 9-point game. 4th down. Broussard is the check down, as Esiason finds him, and the drive stalls, and Baer adds a field goal. It's a 5-point game. Onside kick. Portland recovers, so that's not so good for the Fire, and not so good for Eric Pegram, who would get injured here. He would be replaced by Eric Dickerson, who is a backup in this game. 4th down and 10. And I don't understand why you hand the ball off or throw a flip here to Woodside. He's got to score. He's avoiding defenders, and he does not. He's down at the 5. Portland wins 33-27. Portland is 10-4. Fire are 3-11. Battle of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is doing really well this season. First place in all of the BTFL Season 2. And Pittsburgh, they've only got 5 wins. As we'll start off with Joe Montana getting it started down the left side to Mark Carrier, and then the check down to Johnny Johnson to the 5. He'll hand it off to Barry Foster's freeze, and Philadelphia will take the lead early, 7-0. With the ball again in the hands of Philadelphia, Montana would throw it down the right side to Michael Haynes, who's been having a really good season for Philadelphia this year. The drive would stall, and John Carney adds a field goal, 10-0. John Elway is also a Hall of Fame football player. He'll throw it down the right side, but this time, James Hasty would jump to make the interception. Philadelphia takes over. Montana in the red zone, and he'll find Johnny Johnson on the check down, get his first touchdown of the game. 17-0. Ball to Mark Carrier, who's been playing well this season too, and had a great game last week, but the ball's on the ground. It's a fumble. Recovered by Quentin Coriat, and John Elway would take advantage of this, throwing it to Novacek to the 1, and Reggie Cobb would scamper for the touchdown. Next drive for Philadelphia, already in Pittsburgh territory, and Michael Haynes is already in the end zone. No one could catch him today, and he could go all the way. 17-point game here, and Michael Haynes would still be jumping and catching the ball, with Montana being untouched and throwing it again to Michael Haynes. His second touchdown of the game. Score is 31-7. The game ends 59-7, and Pittsburgh is hanging on by a thread at 5-9, and the Spirit are 12-2. We got a Warthog Central Division game. Detroit finds themselves in Buffalo, and Bo Jackson would find himself running down the right side of the field, getting it inside the red zone, and Bo knows the end zone. First touchdown of the game for Bo knows Jackson. Vinny Testaverde, he goes, Vinny Vinny Vici. I'm going to throw it down the left side to a wide open Al Toon, and he's watching cartoons in Detroit side of the field. Bo Jackson knows the end zone, going up the middle, and Vinny Vinny Vici, he's not a magician here. He'd throw an interception to Gil Bird. Detroit is set up for good field goal position, but Kerry Blanchard would miss this one. Missed opportunity for Detroit. Vinny Vinny Vici, Vinny Testaverde, Vinny Vinny Vinny. He throws it down the left side to Al Toon again. He's watching cartoons at the 34-yard line of Detroit. And Vinny Testaverde, he's showing off his magician skills. He's splitting the defense, running down the right side, showing off that speed. And guess what? Bo knows Jackson. He knows the end zone for the touchdown. 21-0. This shovel pass to Rod Bernstein would get fumbled, recovered by Buffalo, and this would lead to a Pete Stoyanovich made field goal, 24-0. Big lead for Buffalo, who's trying to go to the playoffs. Garrison Hurst gets the shovel pass. Much like Bernstein, he fumbles, recovered by Detroit, and Bernstein, he rumbles, bumbles, stumbles into the end zone for the touchdown, cutting the lead to 17 points. Vinny Testaverde play action, rollout bootleg, throws it to his tight end Pete Metzlars, and Metzlars gets it to around the 2, and Garrison Hurst, he makes up for that fumble, gets the touchdown. Another fumble on a shovel pass. This one recovered by Michael Dean Perry, and he's got the ball. He's get off me to the 1-yard line. And then the flip would be to Bo knows Jackson. Bo knows the end zone. Buffalo wins 52-14. Buffalo 7-7. Mustangs are 5-9. Eagles are absolutely dominating the second half of the season. They'll play a much worse team in New York Empire as DeBerg starts out throwing it to Stanley Richard. That's an interception. And Dave Craig starts off where he left off last week, throwing it to Randall Hill, and then Ernest Biner gets the touchdown. I guess the whole Eagles team is playing well, better than usual. Randall over the hill. This time he is over the hill for the touchdown, the pass by Dave Craig. New York has to get something started here, so Steve DeBerg is going to throw over the middle to Flipper Anderson to around the 23-yard line, but DeBerg would get sacked by Kurt Govea, and this would lead to a Scott Norwood field goal attempt off the right uprights. It's good, 11-point game. This would be the closest that New York would get to Boston as Ernest Biner catches the ball over the seam from Dave Craig, and Dave Craig rolls out, throwing it to Johnny Bailey. He goes whoop around defenders. He's in there for the touchdown. Steve DeBerg with the play action fake. He throws it down the left side to Mike Sherrard. The defense is trailing him, and he'd eventually get caught from behind at the 10-yard line, but then DeBerg would make a mistake throwing an interception to Haddix, the first interception for Haddix in the game, and Randall Hill would get more of this. Rocket catching between two defenders. He's double covered into the end zone for the touchdown. Celebrate there, Dave Craig, but they missed the extra point. But it doesn't really matter because they're just blowing out New York here. Steve Jordan's catching this ball like he's Michael Jordan as he gets another one here over the middle as he would get the Eagles inside the red zone, and then Dave Craig would get his other receiver involved, Mervin Fernandez. He's waiting in the end zone for the touchdown. Another missed extra point by Low Miller. Boston wins 33-3. Eagles are 10-4. Empire are 3-11.
Cincinnati Rampage and the Cleveland Cardinals meet in a playoff football game late in the BTFL regular season. Led by quarterback Ken O'Brien, the Cardinals' offense has been one of the best all year, and we'd see just how good they are in the first quarter of this one. The opening drive ends with a touchdown pass here to Derek Brown, and then Ken O'Brien would march this team downfield again with a little assistance from Raider legend Marcus Allen. He receives the pitch play here, and then Allen scores yet again. He has been a mainstay in the end zone with now 16 rushing touchdowns in just 15 games. He's been incredible. 14-0, but Willie Gault would have his say on this football game today. The track star's key catch leads to this Roger Rozek field goals, 14-3 in the second quarter. But O'Brien stays hot in the first half of this one, guiding another touchdown drive. Marcus Allen, the Raider legend, involved in the receiving game, and then on the following play, O'Brien fakes the handoff and finds former Lion Robert Clark for the touchdown. This offense has scored a touchdown on each of its first 3 drives of the game. I'd say that's pretty good. Willie Gault, another imprint on this game. It seems the defense was falling asleep out there, and one of the most lethal home run threats in the league finds the end zone. Marcus Allen scores again, folks. I mean, he's just been so good all year. A certain favorite for Offensive Player of the Year in the BTFL for Season 2. Walker goes deep, and the tight end slips through to the end zone. 5th touchdown grab of the year for Derek Walker. And in a barn burner, late in the half, it's 28-17. Marcus Allen loses a fumble here, and the Rampage pick it up. And Cincinnati tries to go for the jugular, and they got it to Willie Gault. A huge turnaround from 21-3 to just a 4-point ball game. Marcus Allen, they'd lean on him despite the turnover, and good things happen as he drives the team inside of the 30, and this pass is intercepted for a touchback, a huge turnaround for the Rampage. And then in the second half, Moore sets up this red zone sequence, and Freeze slips through to the end zone, and from 1-3 to the lead. And now the Cardinals somehow need to figure out a way to come back from a huge 21-3 lead. They're going for the win, not a field goal here from 47. Robert Clark's had a big day, but is caught and dropped 4 yards away from a win. A heartbreaking defeat for the Cardinals, who lose it despite a 21-3 lead.
Kind of crazy that the Guardians started this season off 0-4. They will play against the Washington Generals. Sean Salisbury Stake throws it down the seam to Derek Fenner. And Derek Fenner dodges defenders. He makes it inside the 5-yard line and eventually would make it into the end zone for the touchdown. First drive for the Guardians, Favre to Rice. Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer. He gets it inside the 35-yard line. And then Favre waits, throws it down the left side to Alexander. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. He's got the touchdown. The game is tied. Sean Salisbury Stake inside of Guardians territory would throw it to Mark Duper. And Mark Super Duper gets it inside the 20. This would lead to a field goal make by Mike Kofer. It's a 3-point ball game for Washington. Mel Gray of Washington would get the direct snap, kind of like in a wildcat position inside of Guardians territory, and he would get it again. This is a play that the Guardians just can't stop. Mel Gray, he's painting it gray in the end zone. Favre at around midfield would throw it to his Hall of Famer again. Jerry Rice, his safety blanket at receiver, to around the 15-yard line, and then Favre steps into the pocket. He'll throw it to Ron Moore, and Ron Moore makes it a 6-point ball game. Mel Gray gets the ball down the left side. He goes, get off me! And he makes a big run inside Guardians territory. This would lead to another Mike Kofer made field goal. It's a 9-point game. Favre is in a place he doesn't want to be. He'll throw an interception here to Sean Gale, and this would lead to a field goal make by Kofer. 26-14. Favre at midfield again. He'll throw it to Jerry Rice, and Jerry Rice catches it down the right side, avoiding defenders, gets tackled inside the 10, and then Favre would throw it down the left side to Alexander Wright. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. Next drive for Washington, Mel Gray gets the direct snap. Washington gets the ball inside of Guardians territory. That would be a field goal make for Kofer. Sean Salisbury Stake gets the ball back for his team, and the ball would be intercepted by Merton Hanks. The ball would be fumbled and recovered by Washington, so that's a bad step for the Guardians. Curtis Conway would catch the ball down the middle. 36-21, you should celebrate there, Sean Salisbury. Inside the fourth quarter, Favre to Sammy Smith in the check down. Gets it to around the 32-yard line. And Favre inside the red zone throws it over the middle to Mark Bavaro. who's seeming like a Pro Bowl tight end here. Lowry onside kicks it. Guardians must recover. They don't. 36-28, and Sean Salisbury still going to work, throwing it to a diving Mel Gray. And this would lead to another Mike Kofer field goal attempt. It's good. This is like 5 field goals for Mike Kofer. 11-point ball game for Washington, and Alexander Wright catches the ball down the left side, but Alexander Wright would be injured. He would be replaced by the only available wide receiver, Floyd Dixon. Favre, however, would get sacked. He fumbles at last chance, recovered by Rich Miana. Washington wins 39-28. Washington is 6-8. Guardians are 8-6.